Good afternoon, Stan Lee. It's a pleasure asking you.
Good afternoon.
All among the 90s cartoon or animated series, which is your favorite?
Oh, I like them all. I used to do voiceovers for all of them. And whichever one I was doing the voiceover for was, in fact, I do them now. I do voiceovers for the Marvel games and the Marvel cartoons, even now. And I just love doing it. I'm not a guy really who has favorites. I usually like whatever I'm doing at the moment, that's my favorite. Because I get into it. If I don't like it, I wouldn't want to do it. But of course, in the case of Marvel, I like everything. I'm not so dumb.
Okay, thank you.
Daddy!
I beg your pardon?
Who wins, Dad?
He wants to know who would win, Thor or Hulk.
That's a very difficult question to answer. Scientifically, no, I'm going to have to say I think it would be a draw. You see, Thor is about as strong as anybody could be, and he's a god, so nobody can beat him. But the Hulk gets stronger as he keeps fighting. So if he keeps getting stronger and stronger, nobody can beat him. So you know what we had best do? Let us all seriously pray. Now this is a serious moment. Let us pray that Thor and the Hulk never have to fight each other. You're very welcome, and thank you for bringing up that very important segment of our literature.
Okay, all right. Hello, Mr. Stan Lee. Mahalo first off for coming to Hawaii. Just one really hard question. I just want to know, how are you enjoying Hawaii so far?
First of all, nobody should thank anybody for coming to Hawaii. Coming to Hawaii is the best thing that can happen to somebody. The person who comes should thank Hawaii for being here. It's probably the greatest place on earth. And we were here my wife and I were here about 20 years ago, and I really wish we had been able to stay, but the Marvel offices were in New York and I couldn't get them to move them. But I think Hawaii is just wonderful, and I hope you all realize how lucky you are to be here. First of all, you're lucky because you're here with me. And secondly, you're in Hawaii. What could beat that?
You guys all heard it here, Hawaii people.
I was wondering if, how did you come up with the name Marvel?
The first book that the publisher I worked for ever put out, when I was 17 years old and I took the job, he had a book called Marvel Comics. It was nothing like Marvel today. And occasionally the Human Torch would be in it, or the Submariner, and they would fight it. It was good, but it was nothing. When we started with the Fantastic Four and the X-Men and the Hulk, and I saw that we were onto something, we were calling ourselves Atlas Comics. And I remember I thought, I want to change the name. I want to get a name that'll mean something. So I remembered we were once Marvel Comics. And I took that name and I said, let's change our company to Marvel. Because I love advertising. And with a name like Marvel, you could have catch sayings like, welcome to the Marvel Age of Comics, or make mine Marvel. You know, you could do a lot with that word. So that's what we did. Now, to get back to DC. At that time, they were called National Comics. And they said to themselves, gee, Stan just changed the name of Atlas to Marvel Comics. Why don't we change our name too? So I understand they actually paid a guy or a company who specializes in names to come up with something that would be good for them. Now we became Marvel Comics. And what did they change their name to? DC. How dull can a company name be? DC. Welcome to the DCH of comics. It doesn't work. So anyway, I don't remember what the question was that I was asked. And I probably am off the track, and forgive me. And I don't want you to think I don't like DC. Most of those guys are my good friends, but they know I do not respect their talent at naming corporations.
What was your favorite comic book that you have ever wrote?
Well, I've read all of my favorites, so I'd want something that isn't a favorite. I haven't read many Deadpool stories. Maybe I would take that up. I see there's no point taking up stories I've already read because I know them by heart. On my own, I don't know if I ever told you this, I am my own biggest fan. I love everything I write, and I read it, and I read it over and over, and I memorize it by heart. And I say, how was I smart enough to write this? So I'm really my biggest fan. I forgot the question.
I've been given permission to ask two questions. One, is there ever going to be a Hawaiian hero? And two, is there ever going to be a villain that overcomes a hero?
What was number two? I heard number one. Oh, the villains have the power to beat almost any hero. That's the fun of it. I mean, Doc Ock could beat anybody if the writer would let him do it. Dr. Doom, did I tell yesterday? I think I talked about Dr. Doom, but I have to tell you this again. This is a big philosophical subject that I'd like you to think about for those of you who are majoring in philosophy in college. Dr. Doom wants to rule the world. That's his ultimate objective. And he's one of Marvel's most serious villains. And I was thinking the other day, why is he considered a villain? Anybody could want to rule the world. I mean, you could walk up to a policeman and tap him on the shoulder, and you could say, officer, I'd like to rule the world. He can't arrest you. It's not a crime. You probably would like to rule the world if you could. So I have decided that Dr. Doom really isn't a criminal. He's just a guy who's misjudged by the rest of the population, and all he wants to do is rule the world. And I'd like you to, those of you who are majoring in psychology, you have my permission to write a thesis about this subject, and you'll probably get an honorary degree. Now, what was the question? You want us a Hawaiian superhero? See, you thought I forgot. I don't forget. It's not a bad idea. And you know what? When I get back to Marvel, I'm going to talk to them about it. I was going to say he could have a surfboard with some great power, but then we do have the Silver Surfer. Maybe the Silver Surfer could be Hawaii. No, he couldn't. He's from another planet. I'm going to have to give it a lot of thought, but I want you to know I will be working on it.
Hello, Stan.
Yeah.
It's no secret that Gwen Stacy has always been one of your favorite characters, and you're disappointed in her death. How do you feel about her newfound popularity, like the Spider-Gwen series and the new movies?
Well, I'm glad she's back. I didn't kill Gwen Stacy, you know. a writer named Jerry Conway did. I turned the strip over to him for a while because I had to go to Europe on some business. And when I came back, I found out he had killed Gwen Stacy. I was very upset about it. Mainly because a few months earlier, I had killed Captain Stacy, her father, and suddenly it looked as if we had a grudge against the Stacy family. But what was the question? If they found a way, and I haven't read how she came back, but if they found a way to bring her back, I'm delighted. See, I love the idea of two girls, Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane, and Spidey sort of being torn between the two of them. And I wouldn't have had them get married so soon. I'd have played that out. I hate to say this, but a little bit like Archie with Betty and Veronica.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, by the way, did I tell you one of my favorite lines? And I'm so sorry they didn't use it in the Spider-Man movie. Aunt May had always been wanting Peter Parker to meet Mary Jane, and Peter didn't want to, because Aunt May always said, she's a very nice girl, you'd like her. When a teenage boy hears that a girl is a nice girl, he doesn't particularly want to meet her. So Peter was avoiding meeting Mary Jane. Finally, at the end of one story, I had to meet her, and it's the last panel. He goes to the door, and he opens the door, and she's standing there, looking as gorgeous as a girl could ever look. And she says to him, "Face it, Tiger, you hit the jackpot." And I don't know why they didn't use that in the movie, because I love that line. Now, but you have to forgive me, I tend to digress.
Hello, Stan Lee. My name is Brian Gardner. I'm the biggest fan of your comic books. My question is, what is your favorite hobby after you're done working?
What is your favorite hobby when you're done working?
I liked him saying, "I love your comic books." He could have stopped right there. It made me very happy. When I'm not working, I'm always working. I'm not always writing, but we formed a little company about 10 years ago with a few people and me called POW Entertainment. And we do our own movies and so forth. We have a number of things that will be coming out. I can't announce them next, but I'll tell them to you next time I'm in Hawaii. So I keep busy on those movies and the television shows. Hey, did you ever see a television series called Stan Lee's Superhumans? Well, to me, that show should be a big hit, but for some reason the network doesn't promote it. But one funny thing I've got to tell you, they have one guy who takes a drill, an electric drill, and he holds it against his forehead and turns it on, and it doesn't hurt him, it doesn't cut him. I don't know how or why that happens. And the thing I kept thinking about was, what would make a guy wake up in the morning and say, "Gee, I wonder if I put an electric drill to my head if it would kill me"? I mean, there are so many people in real life who are as colorful as the people we write about in the comics. And we have that in that show, Stan Lee Superhumans. When I get back, I gotta see if we can get it to a new network that'll push it. Because you people would love it.
Hi, Stan.
Hi.
Just want to say I'm a huge fan of your work.
Glad to hear it.
And you're a Yankees fan, right?
Oh, I'm every type of fan. See, I don't know who I'm talking to. If you're a Giants fan, I'm not a Yankee fan. Because I'm a coward. But if you're a Yankee fan, I'm a big Yankee fan.
My question was, what motivates you to write? What motivates you to create? You've created so much and so many wonderful things. What drives you to create so many awesome things? awesome comics?
Greed. They pay me for it. No, I just love writing things and then seeing them come to life in some way, whether it's on the pages of a comic book or on a television screen or a movie screen. It's just so exciting. It's my hobby. You know, some men like to play golf or do whatever they do. I love to write stuff that somebody might read and enjoy. And they might say to me, because I'm a very vain person, they might say to me, gee, I read that and that was good. And that makes me feel good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, Stan Lee.
Hi.
My question is, what motivated you and inspired you to create Spider-Man?
What made me create Spider-Man? Well, let me tell you the story about that, if I haven't told you this before. We had already done the Fantastic Four, and I think we had done the Hulk. I don't remember the exact order, but my publisher at the time said, Stan, we're on to something. I want you to create a new superhero. So I went home and I thought about it. The first thing you have to think of is the power. And I wondered, what power can I give him that no other hero has? And I saw a fly crawling on the wall. And I said, boy, wouldn't it be something if I had a character who could stick to walls like an insect? So starting with that, I ran down a list of Insect Man, Fly Mans, Mosquito Man, and then I got to Spider-Man. And I thought, that sounds dramatic, Spider-Man. Ooh, and he could shoot webs. And I loved the idea. And then I figured to make it even more different, I'd make him a teenager. And then I'd give him a lot of personal problems. And I was thinking, boy, nobody ever had a hero like this. So I ran into my publisher and I said, I want to do a new hero for you called Spider-Man. He's a teenager with a lot of personal problems. And my publisher said to me, Stan, that is the worst idea I have ever heard. He said, first of all, people hate spiders, so you can't call a hero Spider-Man. Secondly, you want him to be a teenager? A superhero can't be a teenager, they can only be sidekicks. And you want him to have personal problems. Don't you know what a superhero is? They don't have personal problems. So I was not feeling too happy when I left his office, but we had a magazine we were about to kill because it wasn't selling that well. It was called Amazing Something. And when you're about to kill a magazine, nobody cares what you put in the last issue. So just to get it out of my system, I got Steve Ditko to draw Spider-Man for me, and I featured it on the cover of Amazing. And we published it and forgot about it. But a month later, the sales figures came in, and it was the best-selling book we had had that month. So my publisher called me into his office, and he said, Stan, you remember that Spider-Man idea of yours that we both liked so much? I swear. He said, let's make it a series. And that's how Spidey was born. And it shows you can't always trust the experts.
Hi, Stan Lee. My name is Ka'uhane, and my brother wasn't able to come today, so I'm here in his place. My question is, what character do you think you relate to the most?
Iron Man. If I had to be one of them, I'd want to be Tony Stark. He's rich, he's handsome, the women love him, he can do anything he wants to do, so he's got a problem with his heart. Big deal. Yeah, I like Tony Stark. And I gotta tell you, the guy who plays Tony Stark, Nobody could play it better. Robert Downey Jr., he is just great.
Okay, we have one last question for you, Stan.
Who is your favorite female character that you created?
Well, I think really Mary Jane in Spider-Man, because I love the personality that I gave her. And she was the exact opposite of Gwen. Gwen was just a very sweet girl. But Mary Jane, boy, she was so alive and fun, and I liked her very much. Did somebody say that was the last question? What did I do wrong? Okay, we gotta get going. Well, where have you been?
I've been hanging out with your friends. Yeah. But I'm back. Stan, I want to thank you so much on behalf of everyone here at Hawaii and Amazing Comic Con for coming out. If you have any last words to leave with everyone today, what would you say?
All right, my last words, I hope I can think of something clever. My last words are, Hawaii is probably the greatest place on earth. You Hawaiians are probably the greatest people on earth, and I consider myself so lucky to be here, to have had the chance to talk to you and meet you this way, and you've made me very happy, and thank you very much. Excelsior!